Hi, everybody, and welcome to a new season here at Buffalo State and a brand new season of Bengal Magazine. You are looking at the brand new Coyer Field Press Box, and Athletics Director Jerry Boyce will be joining us for a little tour and a talk of the new facility. Jerry's also going to talk about football because he is, after all, the head football coach. And Maria DePeters from Volleyball will be joining us. So come on in, let's take a tour of the new Coyer Field Press Box, and welcome to Bengal Magazine. Well, Jerry, here we are at the newest facility in athletics at Buffalo State, the brand new Coyer Field Press Box, $2 million. Tell us what you have here.
Well, we've gotten into the 21st century, you might say, Tom.
Absolutely.
A very, very much needed facility for all of our outdoor sports and, quite frankly, for Buffalo State.
Correct.
Because it gives a great view coming in from the Grant Street area, where we have this new press box. And the biggest benefit, not only from a working standpoint, filming standpoint, and presentation for our president to have invited guests, but it's just a great recruitment tool. Mm-hmm. In today's recruiting, facilities are just so crucial to that aspect. So right. When prospects and their parents come on campus and they see this,
right.
It elevates the standard of Buffalo State athletics.
So what do we have in the actual physical facility here? We have where we are now, the media room, and then what else is part of the $2 million construction?
Well, down the way there's boxes for both home and away radio.
Okay.
And coaches' boxes, both home and away. And at the far end is a beautiful space for our president to entertain guests at home events.
Correct. Now, also in the middle, and I think the filmers will be happy to know this, there's a place for team filming, correct?
Correct.
Tell us what used to happen.
Well, they're actually undercover, whereas before they used to be on top of our old press box.
All within code, I may add.
And they were subject to the elements, you might say.
Absolutely. Well, the shack on sticks is what we used to call the old press box, and that's been completely torn down now. And it really does look like a terrific facility. I liked what you said. When you come in off the 198, you're coming down Grant Street. Here is a facility that all of the college can be proud of.
Absolutely, Tom. Again, what has gone on our campus for our facilities in the last decade, probably more than the last decade, to tell you the truth, has just added so much to the campus. And from being major recruiter in athletics, the hundreds of parents and young men and women we bring onto campus, we have a campus that we like to show now.
Yeah, absolutely, especially the west side.
There were times where we kind of stayed away from this part of the campus.
Absolutely.
But not anymore.
Right.
So it's just what has gone on is fabulous for Buffalo State.
And this really continues the upgrade in athletics of facilities. There's been some great things that have happened already, the renovation of Houston Gym, the press box, and we continue to upgrade because it is about staying up with the Joneses and making sure you're right there with everybody.
It really is, Tom, and you know, staying up with Joneses is the best way to put it. And I'm so grateful for our administration, with our president, our Vice President Hal Payne, and the support of Mike Levine in finance and management. These things don't happen without their support.
Absolutely not. Yep.
And they went to bat for us.
Yep.
So I'm so grateful for their input to make what's been going on here in the last 3 years on this aspect of athletics become reality.
And you talk about being grateful. We're grateful for Phil Hubble. We're standing in a room that has been already named after a friend of ours, Ralph Hubble. Why don't you tell us about Phil's gift and Ralph Hubble and why we call this Ralph's room now?
Well, it was really a happenstance type of thing, a conversation. But Phil Hubble, who is the son of the late Ralph Hubble,
right,
who is a legendary journalist, broadcast person in Western New York, he knew of his dad's, I'm going to say, affection for Buffalo State.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And he wanted to see if he could do something for his dad in a place where he could be remembered.
Right.
And we're so grateful for Phil for this to happen, because Phil was a big part of Buffalo State athletics and the reporting. He was a master of ceremonies for many years of our Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So for him to have a long-standing now in eternity, a place here at Buffalo State is really very, very neat.
Absolutely. Ralph was, not to get too personal, but was a mentor of mine during my early journalism career, and used to come and cover Buffalo State football games and basketball, and he's in the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame as the initial media member of that Hall of Fame. So we're very grateful to Phil and obviously Ralph Hubble. Well, Jerry, thanks for the quick tour. We appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break. Jerry's going to come back probably with something different on, because we're going to go in studio and talk football when we return. Well, we've got a bit of a wardrobe change now, have you noticed? Jerry is out of his suit and tie and now into something a little more casual for the studio. Jerry, welcome back. He brings along Kyle Hoppy, his junior quarterback from Orchard Park, home of the Quakers. But before we talk football, it's a great time of year. Students are back on campus, student athletes are back, and I know you get excited as athletic director to greet everybody and welcome everybody back.
Oh, sure, Tom. You know, the enthusiasm, the anticipation, all of those things as you start a school year and start a sports season. Had a great start yesterday with both our men's and women's soccer teams winning. And all of our other sports kick off this weekend. So it's the anticipation is the biggest part, with a lot of the expectations and things of that nature. And it's kind of the smell is in the air, you might say.
Absolutely, yes. And we won't get any further into that, but tell me about the makeup of this team, 2015. We got some new kids that have left, some talented kids that have left. What's the identity of this team? Have you figured that out yet, Coach?
Well, you really can't see it until you play games.
Okay.
I have a sense, which is a very positive sense. I have four I think outstanding captains as leaders, and this guy is one of them, that I think are stepping up. A bit of a veteran team in terms of the amount of seniors we have. We have 31 seniors.
Wow. So
there's, and coupled with the success coming off of last season, yes, the high expectations, Tom. And I always have high expectations, never lower those. But there's, I have a good sense of things, but until you line up against somebody you don't know, and you got to go out and prove yourself. And so the identity, we will find out.
Okay. Now, Kyle, we were talking off camera, and here's an offensive guy, your quarterback, your leader, and all of a sudden he's raving about the defense. You noticed that in camp. What did you notice about the defense?
I just noticed the experience and the depth that we have there, and the way they like to fly around and how energetic they are throughout every practice. It's a little frustrating to go against them, but I'm pretty glad we go against them during practice, not during a game. So
makes you a little bit better too as you move along. In the preseason story in the Buffalo News, you had used the word urgency. And I'm home having my coffee, and I go, urgency? What does he mean by that? So I'm going to ask you right now, what do you mean by urgency, Jerry?
Well, part of it is, from what Kyle says, the experience that we have coming back is that I expect to start the season like this was the Saturday after the Waynesburg game last year. That's what I expect.
Okay.
And the players have that same urgency. Time to let's keep it going. So that's what I'm expecting to see.
Okay, let's go all the way down to that last game last year, the ECAC Southwest Bowl, big win over Waynesburg. And I'm curious, it is kind of this new team. It's a new year. Do you use that as a springboard for this year, or do you say to the guys, that was last year. What have you done for me lately? So how do you use that game? I'll ask that to both of you.
Well, a little bit of both, to tell you the truth, Tom, because the bulk of the team were back from that experience. So you hope that there's lessons learned from that. And yet, this is a whole new team.
Yeah.
So they have to prove, and the word you used early on, Tom, identity, they have to prove who they are. So they have experience to dwell on and come and use with, but now they need to, are they going to take it forward?
Right. In your eyes, as a captain and a student athlete, and you played in that game, do you kind of forget about it, or do you bring it to camp and do you remind everybody about it and the importance of work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I think it's important to remember what we did last year and kind of help show us that we can do this and we can do more. Because last year we all had the feeling that, of course we won a bowl game, but we all felt after that, we had bigger plans on the table and we all felt that we could get that. So we're going to use it as fuel this year to go out there and try and do that.
I almost feel saying that is one of these taboo things, that NCAA thing. And I know you're thinking that because that's what you're intimating here. Is it a thought process in the camp right now? It's not the goal, is not an ECAC. The goal this year is an NCAA bid?
Well, I think the main lesson that we learned last year is we have to take it game by game. We can't be looking ahead. But we all know the underlying thing is we want more success than we had last year. And like you said, without saying it, we just have to go out there and play every game and play it the way we know how to play. I
bet you there were a couple games last year, this game-by-game thing, that you kind of look back and go, oh man, that's one we should have had, and that could have catapulted us. Do you think about things like that, Coach? You've been doing it for a long time, or do you just kind of go, I can't worry about that?
Well, yes and no.
You're right on the fence today, Chair.
Those are things, and I think Kyle said it very, very well. Each season, each game, you take game by game. You have to. You cannot look ahead. I've said this before. The utopia for me would be that we just have home and away on our schedule. We don't have names.
There you go.
So we're just preparing for that opponent and really don't have any history of them. And that's one of the lessons that I think that some of us last year, we were looking ahead a little bit and forgot about today.
Okay.
And that was one of the lessons that I believe the players took into the end of the season and into that bowl game.
Okay.
And have a regret after the season that that's what happened.
There you go.
So lesson learned, we'll find out.
We're talking about expectations a little bit. Let's talk about individual expectations. Man, you were good last year, Kyle. 162 passing efficiency rating, 54%, only 8 interceptions. You look at it, you see those numbers. Where do you go from here as a junior now?
Well, I just hope to build on what we started last year and, just try and go out there and make myself better, learn from the mistakes I made last year and make sure that I'm 100% focused all the time and always trying to get better every day.
Let me ask you about losing Mike and Rich. Is there a new chemistry that has to be formed on offense with some of your skill positions?
I think so. Obviously, we lose some those two guys and also Ryan Carney as well as a returning.
Absolutely.
So there's 3 guys right there that had good chemistry with me, but over the summer and throughout training camp this year, we have a bunch of guys that have been out there and fighting for those spots because they all knew that because these guys have graduated, there's going to be a lot more yards and a lot more catches out there, and as far as rushing attempts too. So I think they responded well. I think they brought in a lot of effort, and we're pretty deep on both those positions there.
I would think when you look at this guy as a former quarterback yourself, you're a little bit more comfortable knowing who's running the offense, and as a captain. I'll ask you the question, where does he raise his bar now, both on the field and maybe off the field?
Well, I think that the progress that Kyle has made, both as a football player, most importantly, I believe as a leader, because in our offense, I rely on the quarterback a lot.
Yeah. To
make sure that this play that is called is a good play, or is there a better play? So on the line recognition is extremely important to us. So that knowledge, and you gain knowledge through experience. So the more experience you get, the more confident and comfortable you are at that position. And that's where I see Kyle. And you mentioned those numbers. Good things happen when you're doing things right. And that's what our offense is. I hope, Tom, because Mike Doherty, Ryan Carney, Richard Pete, add them up, and that's 3,500 yards from last year lost.
Absolutely.
I believe Kyle is right. And I happen to believe that if your program is, you're doing things right, the names and faces of the players change, but the success remains.
Okay.
It stays constant. And I like to believe we're at that level. Now, again, the proof will be we'll find out sometime later in the fall.
We're going to find out in a couple days, guys. Thanks for being on the show. Football opens Saturday, Otterbein on the road, an Ohio Athletic Conference game. First home game, if you're curious, is October 3rd at Coyer, homecoming versus St. John Fisher. Guys, wish you the best of luck. Thanks for being on the show. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to go inside and talk volleyball. Stay with us. All right, we're having fun here in studio at Bengal Magazine. That's because we're joined by two fun people. Maria DePeters, head coach of the Volleyball Bengals, and Rachelle Kelchlin, the senior from West Seneca and the libero, which we'll talk about a little bit. I wonder if everybody knows what a libero is, but more on that later. First show of the year, training camp is done. We're getting into the season starting soon. Give us a little makeup of this team. What can we expect?
Yeah, it's a really exciting team. We have 6 seniors. 4 have been here since their freshman year, and 2 of them were transfers. So we have a huge upperclassmen class. So it's a lot of talent, a lot of maturity on the team. So hopefully a lot of volleyball knowledge will be on the court at all times. We have 1 transfer junior who we're expecting a lot of great things from. She's awesome. And then we have 2 sophomores and 5 freshmen.
Wow.
So we have a lot of new kids that came in, but it's great because those kids have an awesome opportunity this year to learn from all the upperclassmen that we have.
Well, you mentioned the seniors, and here's one of them, Rachelle, and she's been with you for a while, but more on that in a minute. Have the 4 seniors that have been here 4 years, did you guys get together before training camp or during training camp and just talk about, wow, this is it?
I mean, the 4 seniors, me, Kayla, Hannah, and Jen, we've been here since our freshman year, and we actually have all been together a while before that.
Oh my gosh.
We actually were all players of Coach Maria's in our club team my junior year of high school. So we knew her for a while, and we've all been best friends. We've all been in the same club for years. So, I mean, it's very easy to talk to these girls, and coming into our senior year, we didn't sit down or anything, but we all know that we have the same expectations for this team.
Okay.
We know that we have the talent, and all we have to do is execute, and we're going to come out with a bang this year.
So expectations. Mm-hmm. So you're placing high expectations. This is
definitely.
What are your expectations, both individually and as a team?
Individually, I would like to see another year up on the banner for Buff State Volleyball, and I would love to be a part of that as my second year. And as a team, we just really want to make it to SUNY finals again, and we really want to make it to the NCAAs. That was a great experience. We want our freshmen to experience it just like we did when we were sophomores, and we just want to have fun.
Is there, it sounds, if I'm hearing this right, great expectations of this team. We don't want to be, overblowing things at all, but and I'm going to use this with, I think I used it with Coach Boyes. Is there an urgency here for this season, especially with these seniors?
Yeah, I mean, I think every season has a type of urgency, and it definitely starts because you only get 2 weeks to prepare before your first game. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, our sense of urgency is, if we were to take SUNYACs and NCAA out of it, I want to start off strong in the beginning of the season. I think sometimes we can take a little bit to start off and then really find your rhythm. Mm-hmm. I want us to find our rhythm immediately, and we're really seeing that. Even the second day of practice when we first did a 6-on-6 drill, there was just such a flow from the team. So that was incredible to watch. But Rachelle said that they didn't sit down, and they didn't sit down as like a group by themselves, but we actually did sit down with all of the seniors, the 6 seniors, as a coaching staff at the end of preseason, and everybody's expectations were on the same page, and that's why we didn't vote for just 2 captains this year. All of them are considered captains because they're all just at such a great level this
Yeah.
year as leaders,
Yeah.
and they're all on the same page and know what they want to accomplish this season.
It's probably a bit emotional for you, probably toward the end of the season, but is it emotional right now knowing that you've coached these young ladies for
I think I cried
6,
about
7
it
years?
before the season started.
All right, we don't have to talk about that. But I could
I don't
imagine.
want to see them go. I mean, they've been with, it's funny because they think that they grew up with me, but I also grew up with them.
There
So
you
I
go.
started coaching them when I was 23 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're still 23, Maria.
I
so
am.
We don't
I know.
age around here.
I think so too.
Great mystery of Buff State. We don't age around here. You had mentioned something, this volleyball knowledge. Very interesting comment you made. What is that, and how can you play on that for this season?
Sure. We talk a lot about communication in volleyball, and it's not just calling the ball in or out or mine. It's looking through the net, reading what's going on the other side of the court, and knowing how to execute the ball on their side and finding
Okay.
the open holes. And that's just volleyball knowledge, running certain plays and knowing different types of hits that you can hit in that run, where that defense isn't. If the hitter looks like they're going to tip, the defense knowing how to shift appropriately to where their body is and what their arm looks like and what their hand movement looks like. We could go on for this for
Wow.
hours, but it's really
Fascinating.
breaking down the game, and you have to do it at such a quick pace
Sure.
too.
Absolutely. We don't have much history of 2015, but we have a little history of 2014. Really good year, 25-11, SUNY semis. So, you know, coaches don't like to look back, but sometimes you have to look back. So, when you look at that season, what would you like this team to improve on from last year?
I think there was a little bit of a lack of chemistry on the team, and because we didn't have the right flow. So, like I just mentioned that about a minute ago, we do have the right flow this year and the right chemistry. So I think that those are the biggest two things that we had to improve on, and it's already not even 2 weeks in, and I think that we have that. Yeah.
You sense that too, Rachelle?
I do, and 25-11 was a good record for last year. It still was a good record no matter what team you're on.
Sure.
But it's just, you can tell how much different it is now for this year because there is so much flow, and I can see that record even getting better than that.
And that record was, it was an interesting one. I did my research because you had said earlier in the show, and I'm curious how you changed this, but it seemed like a very slow start for the team, and then 13 wins of the last 17 matches, and that last loss included the semis. So how do you get the wins early in the year? I mean, is that one of the urgencies that you told the seniors about?
Yeah, I think as a coaching staff, we have to push them harder from the start and not just kind of wait, progressively do it. Say these are our expectations as a coaching staff, and we're going to start from day one.
Okay.
So there's not so much of a transition until you get closer to SUNYAC, because these non-conference games, especially these two that we're playing on Friday, are so important because they're regional teams, and one of them went to the NCAAs as well.
Okay.
So these would be great wins to have in our back pocket in case we don't win the SUNYAC and we want to try to go for that outside NCAA bid.
We have about a minute left. I wanted to talk about libero, so let's talk about that real quickly.
Okay.
What is a libero in volleyball, and how did you get to be a libero?
Well, a libero in volleyball, basically, it's the one that wears the different colored jersey.
Yes, we know that.
The girl that plays the libero only plays the back row, so you don't step in front of the 10-foot line at all to hit
Okay.
or to set, to do anything like that. You go back row. You're allowed to go back row for 2 different people, so I can be on the court at all times. And so that's basically what a
So
libero
you're a defensive
is.
specialist?
Yes,
Is that the best way to put it?
defensive specialist, yes.
And her subbing in does not count as a substitution.
Yes,
Okay, you
that's
can
why
sub
you
in and
have
out
to
as
wear
many
the other
times?
jersey.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how do you become a libero? I mean, was it something like maybe she said 6, 7 years ago and said, would you be a libero, or did you just morph into this?
It was a little bit of her coaching and also my high school coach, because I started playing volleyball in 6th grade. I was an outside hitter, and I was a good height to be an outside hitter at that time, and then when everybody else started growing and I kind of stopped
stayed
growing,
there.
I just stayed there.
Wow.
So my high school coach said, you're not tall enough to be a blocker anymore, and you're going to get blocked all the time if you stay a hitter. So we're just going to try to teach you as much defense as possible. So in high school, I was just a DS. I wasn't the libero in high school, but then when I came to Buff
Wow.
State, Maria kind
There
of
you
saw the
go.
potential in me to be the libero.
So you are a defensive specialist. Well, ladies, thanks very much for being on the show. You open up this Friday, a non-conference tournament at Cortland. So I wish you the best of luck during the season, and we'll see you back
Thank you.
sometime,
Thank
okay?
you.
You're very welcome. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of Bengal Magazine. Thanks to everybody here in IR. We'll see you in 2 weeks for more Bengal Magazine.